Hey, Oz.
Hey, Curtis.
What movie we watching this week?
Oh, we've got another a trio of movie marriages involved here. We've got a combination of Terminator with The Burbs
Okay.
and Elvira, Mistress of the Dark.
Ooh.
Oh. This week we are watching Fright Night.
Oh, Elvira, Mistress of the Dark.
I figured she's a horror host that steps into the mainstream, and
works. It works. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
And the Terminator strictly for the dance club scene alone.
Yeah.
That was really like that was the one when we talked last week where I'm like, I got to get this down now. It was for the dance club scene. That's all it was.
Oh.
It was we're gonna escape from him in this dance club, and he's gonna follow us in there, and
with the exact same kind of music playing.
Oh yeah.
Like the 80s pop synth.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't like duck into Club Noir like like Sarah Connor does. It would have been funny. It would have been funny if Michael Biehn comes hopping out with a shotgun and realizes he's in the wrong club.
And his Nikes.
Exactly.
Before my brain registered the humor of Elvira, my brain immediately went to the sexiness of Elvira.
Oh well, that too. But no, I was going for the for the Peter Vincent.
Yes, yeah.
TV horror host.
The host,
but gets called upon to be a citizen. And,
I love it. So. Your movie marriage is spot on. Love it.
And of course the Burbs, because it was right next door.
Yeah, because it's right next door. He's the guy next door.
Yeah. So, welcome back to another week of Let's Talk About Flicks, the podcast where we take a monthly theme and alternate contributions to satisfy that theme. I'm one of your hosts, Oz.
And I am the other host, Curtis.
And we are here with episode 50.
50 on the road to 50,000.
We are here with episode 50. And we are smack dab in the middle of Man Bat Month, a month of vampire movies featuring a vampire bat. And we've got, is 85? Yeah, 1985's original Fright Night. Not to be confused with the also very good...
I like the remake. The remake is fun.
Yeah, the remake is a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. I think they did a great job pulling the right cast for it.
Yeah.
For the remake. But it was a remake, and again, we've probably touched on it a little bit in the past, but I really like it when a remake takes like the plot, but then makes it their own. Like moving him to Vegas, and it was fun because it's like people are awake all night long in Vegas. Mm-hmm. So
there's always something going on.
Yeah, and easy for a vampire to do what he needs to do. So yeah, I do like it when they do a remake, but it's not like shot for shot.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And so, like I said, pre-show, like right now in my quest to watch 2 scary movies a day, an average of 2 scary movies a day for October, I'm watching Tom Savini's remake of Night of the Living Dead, and it is for the most part in that shot for shot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty with a few character exceptions.
Yeah.
It looks very similar.
Yeah, but you're right. You've got characters with slightly different arcs. Plus, like this movie is remade like 22 years later from black and white to color. And so there's plenty of differences between the original Night of the Living Dead and the remake, but it's still gives it its due. It pays its testament. So, but we're not here to talk about Night of the Living Dead. We're here to talk about Tom Holland's Fright Night.
Not that Tom Holland.
Right. Yeah, not Spider-Man. Not Spider-Man Tom Holland. He would have been, I don't even think he was born in 85, so no, it would have been him.
Nope.
But no, we're here to talk about Fright Night. But before we get to that, we do want to give a shout out to our Patreon subscribers, Don S. and Melissa L. Thank you yet again for your monthly patronage. If you would like to support the show, you can find a link to Patreon down below where you can either get your name mentioned on our lowest tier, or you can have access to our bonus episodes and our secondary tier that we've not yet done because we don't have anybody that qualifies for that tier. Melissa L. does, but I don't think Melissa L. wants to. I think she's just being generous.
Well, we could do something special for Melissa L.
We need to do something for Melissa.
Whoever Melissa L. may be.
Right.
This mysterious, unknown person, Melissa L.
So, Melissa L., if you happen to be watching or listening, we have not forgotten you. We will put something together to satisfy your tier membership in Patreon. And if you are thinking about joining Patreon, we're not going to forget you. We just have such low regard for Melissa L. that we don't really care to satisfy her.
Speak for yourself.
It's Curtis's job to satisfy her needs, not mine. So, with that, who do we have as our characters? Yeah, who do we have as characters in Fright Night?
It's Oz's week to carry the plot, so I've got the characters. I have 7 characters down, although only with 4 leads and 3 supporting characters. So the leads, we have Jerry Dandrige, played by Chris Sarandon, the vampire next door. We also have Charley Brewster, played by a young William Ragsdale, who is next door. Yes.
Yeah, he's so cool. You're so cool, Brewster.
We got Amy Peterson, played by Amanda Bierce, who from this point forward we will be referring to as Marcy Darcy. Referencing, for those who don't know that reference, Amanda Bierce played Marcy Rhodes, then Marcy Darcy on the hits at late 80s, 90s Fox sitcom Married with Children.
Yeah, married to Jefferson Darcy.
Jefferson Darcy. Memory serves as she married Jefferson after like a drunken one-night stand.
Which is so odd for Marcy Darcy's character.
Yeah, because she was very organized and educated and
yeah, very much so, and would kind of look down her nose at behavior like that. But there she is.
Yeah, I remember she was over at Alan. I just combined Alan Peg in a one word and at Ag's house at the Bundy residence.
Right,
and she's like, "What did I do? My name's Marcy Darcy." And then Jefferson comes strolling in. And I'm blanking on the name of the actor, Oz. But just this beautiful man.
Wasn't he in Revenge of the Nerds?
He was in Revenge of the Nerds. I'm completely forgetting his name right now. We'll get there. Was it Ted McGinley? Ted McGinley?
Yeah.
Is that it? There we go.
Yes, Ted McGinley.
Ted McGinley, the one and only Ted McGinley of Revenge of the Nerds and Married with Children fame.
He's a handsome fella.
He is a handsome fella. And Marcy Darcy quickly accepted the Darcy at her last name once she remembered how good Jefferson Darcy looks.
Yeah, he played Stan Gable in Revenge of the Nerds.
That's right, Stan Gable. We've got Peter Vincent, who is the Elvira-esque character in this, the host of the late night horror show kind of thing, played by Planet of the Apes as Roddy McDowall.
Yeah.
The Peter Vincent character named after Peter Cushing and Vincent Price, I think was the reference there.
Yeah, absolutely. Big stars of like England's big like hammer horror push. And so I thought that was a fun because Peter it fits together as a name itself. So I thought that was a nice little testament. I like that better than what a lot of movies do when they want to give cred to like horror directors and they just name their characters like Romero and Craven and Cronenberg.
Or like they're walking down the street and it's like Cronenberg's like hardware store.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I like this better of like we'll just marry the two together. So good move.
We got a couple supporting characters. We have Edward Evil Ed Thompson, Charley Brewster's best friend, who is somewhere between the ages of 13 and 33 and has yet to go through puberty.
Right. Somewhere in there.
Yeah, somewhere in there. We got Billy Cole, who is Jerry's familiar, or AKA roommate, as he calls him.
Yeah, he's his roommate, yeah.
And then we also have Judy Brewster, Charlie's mom, who's there at the beginning and then who inexplicably isn't in the rest of the movie.
Disappears the rest of the movie. Like, we see the cop more often than we see her.
Yeah. That's one of the better things about the remake. They put Toni Collette in that role.
Yeah, so it's hard to hide Toni Collette after a scene because
the great Toni Collette.
It's Toni Collette.
Uh-huh. All right, so that's the character rundown we got here.
All right.
What do we got for plot at Fright Night?
We jump right into it where we've got Charlie and Marcy Darcy, in the bedroom, smooching a little bit, and Fright Night's on with, again, horror host Peter Vincent. And Charlie's a big fan of Fright Night, so they're watching it or whatever. Charlie gets up to, I don't know, pull the blinds or something. They're having this little back and forth about Charlie would love to, he'd love more than a bunt single every time they're together.
A little tapper between the pitcher and the third baseman.
He really, I think, would enjoy to leg out a double once in a while.
Maybe an Otis Nixon.
That's right. Charley Brewster's, he's looking to pull an Otis Nixon.
He's looking for a triple.
But so he gets up to, pull the blinds or whatever, and basically Marcy Darcy's giving him the green light. Like, she's waved him around first at this point.
Yeah.
But as he's looking out the window pulling the blinds, he sees a couple of guys carrying a coffin through the neighbor's yard.
Mm-hmm. Not something you expect to see when you look out the window at night.
No, and as he's dialoguing what he's seeing out the window, it happens to be exactly what's on the movie that Peter Vincent's covering that week. Mm-hmm. And so she's watching the TV and realizes that she thinks he's just watching television, and like she's sitting there in her bra, like she's. She's psyching herself up. Like, they've been together for quite a while. And I get it, teenage girl and a little reluctant. And I respect that. But it was like, they've been together for quite a while. And, he's mentioned it. And she she takes her shirt off. And then, like, the look on her face is instantly like, almost like she's, like I said, she's talking herself into it. Like, I'm hating this. I hate this. And I'm like, then put your shirt back on. You don't have to do that.
Marcy Darcy, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do.
Right, but then again, our last reference to Marcy Darcy is, she hooked up with Jefferson and got married after one date. So maybe this is just part of what that actress is as a performer. I want to get straight to it. He sees, like I said, he sees the neighbors carrying a coffin. It's very elaborate, like it's probably mahogany or something. They're taking it into the cellar.
Mahogany.
Rich mahogany. And so that throws him off as it is. Like, next day or whatever, he's going out front and, like, it's like broad daylight, and a taxi shows up, and a very attractive woman gets out.
Yeah.
You could suggest she may have been a lady of the night. I don't know. But she kind of gave off the vibe. But my first thought was, like, if this is a prostitute, like, you're stopping by via taxi at, like, 3:30 in the afternoon.
Well, and it kind of took Charlie at surprise too. I doubt, like he was like walking out, or it's like walking back from school or something like that.
Yeah.
And Hot Blonde gets dropped off by a taxi in front of his new neighbor's house.
And then asks Charlie if this was the right address, which of course, no, that's next door.
Come on, Charlie, put your thinking cap on here. Like, yeah, you're at the right place. Come on in.
Right. Especially when just the night before you were pressuring your girlfriend into a slide into second, and here's a lady that's like, am I at the right house? Like, Charlie. There's a few mental gaffes Charlie makes throughout the movie.
One of a couple here.
And so, later that night, Charlie's in his room, and he's still very suspicious of the neighbor. He hasn't met the neighbor yet. Very suspicious. And he's looking at the window, and of course, then we get your 80s romantic music, which is full of saxophones and horns. And
80s saxophone. Gotta love it.
And so Charlie's looking out the window, and he's watching the neighbor, like, seduce this woman. But then, like, the neighbor, his name's Jerry. We don't know it's Jerry yet via the movie, but we know it's Jerry because we've seen it. But, like, he's making eye contact with Charlie as he's, like, necking this woman.
Yeah, well, almost literally there.
Yeah, and so
it's also you have your prototypical 80s horror movie topless woman scene.
Yeah, I don't remember. Was she topless?
I think so.
Yeah, I don't remember. She may have been worth a rewatch. Worth a rewatch, I guess.
I remember.
As a matter of fact, she was. I remember I went back to confirm it 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
I knew that you would forget, Oz, and I just wanted to make sure I knew definitively that she was topless.
As I was watching this movie with Patreon subscriber Melissa L. Hang on, Patreon subscriber Melissa L. I need to rewind it again to confirm, just for my notes.
because I don't think Oz is going to remember. And plus,
if I know Oz, I know he's going to forget about this, so I got to carry this scene.
It's for the show. We're doing it for the show.
This is for professional purposes.
Yeah. You didn't want to make the same mistake Charley Brewster made by not taking advantage of the opportunity.
No, you don't want to pull a Brewster.
Yeah.
It's like pulling a Munson.
It's like pulling him. I was thinking that too. It's like pulling a Munson. Brewster Munson himself.
You don't want to Brewster yourself.
So Charlie, he backs away and Jerry Dandrige pulls down the shade or whatever, and then we hear a scream. Mm-hmm. And so Charlie now he's really onto it. One, he loves horror films and he loves Fright Night. 2, he watched them carry a coffin in. 3, he just heard a woman next door scream, "Hey, if it looks like a duck and it talks like a duck, it must be a vampire." Yep. So Charlie's convinced because the next day on the news, she was missing. And so he's convinced Jerry Dandrige, our neighbor, is a vampire, and he's responsible for all of these disappearances. He tells his mom. His mom's just like, "Oh, Jerry," or not Jerry, Charlie. She says basically, "Oh, Jerry," later. She's pretty infatuated with him.
She is.
But not enough so to actually become victimized by him. We thought she would be at one point, but no. So then Charlie talks to his girlfriend, Marcy Darcy, and this is where we also meet Evil Ed Thompson. So he talks to them, and he's like, I think the neighbor's a vampire. And of course, they're just like, Charlie, I think you're a little ridiculous. And then, of course, Ed, who cranks his acting up to 11 for every scene. He goes, "You're so crazy, Brewster." And so realizing that he doesn't have any help from his mom, his girlfriend, and his friend, he calls the cops.
Yeah. Which is what you do if you suspect your neighbor is a vampire.
Really, outside of passing up the opportunity to let the hot blonde know that she's at the right house, this Charlie really hasn't made too many gaffes yet. He recognizes something's off in the neighborhood, and he's doing his due diligence to report what he thinks is something that's nefarious. So the detective shows up. He didn't tell the detective that he thinks the neighbor's a vampire. He just says he thinks the neighbor's responsible for the missing people. Yeah. So the detective shows up. They're going to question Jerry. Jerry just happens to be away on business. And so the cop's talking to the roommate, Billy Cole. Charlie finally breaks down because he's so frustrated and he says that he's suspicious that Jerry's a vampire. And of course, the detective is now angry because he thinks he's been goofing around. And so, just Charlie's being very careful. But again, nobody believes him that he thinks his neighbor is a vampire.
Well, I mean, who would believe him?
Understandably, yeah. I mean, because this is, again, we've talked about this even last week. This is a scenario where vampires exist in folklore. Mm-hmm. They exist in movies. So therefore, the rules of vampirism are there, but there's no such thing as vampires. So nobody actually needs to put them to use. But Charlie's ready. The next, the next night. No, I guess it was that night. He was just really surprised. His mom calls him downstairs, and
he had been nailing his windows closed. Oh
yeah. He's trying to protect himself. Mom calls him downstairs, and they're sitting in the seat like Dr. Claw. We only see his arm.
He was menacingly petting a cat at the same time.
Yeah. And his arm was metal too. It was weird. But no, sitting there in the high back chair is Jerry, and Mom's like, "I invited him over." So Charlie is now really freaked out because he knows vampires cannot enter your home unless they're invited. Now his mom's invited him, and Jerry knows that Charlie's on to him. Yeah. But Jerry also knows that nobody believes Charlie. Yeah. And so go ahead.
I love how Jerry's just kind of like rubbing it in Charlie's face.
Oh, yeah.
Now that your mom's invited me over, I can come by anytime I want.
Right, yeah. That's just what I was going to say. I love that line. Yeah. It was just so matter of fact. Like you and I know, and you can't do anything to stop me because nobody believes you. And so Jerry visits Charlie at his house. He does. I'll come back anytime. Next thing you know, Jerry ends up in Charlie's bedroom. and basically gives him a choice. Listen, you're going to ignore me and what I do, or I'm going to kill everybody that's important to you.
Yeah.
Of course, Charlie, he's not going to handle that well. He refuses. I mean, he flashes a crucifix at Jerry, and it works. Jerry, and this is the one part. It's not in my 3-2-1s, but I thought Chris Sarandon did an excellent job as even like your like human form vampire, and even as your like vamped out vampire. But the one part of his vampiric performance that drove me nuts throughout the whole movie was his reaction to a crucifix, because I couldn't tell. Like just the moaning that he makes and his eyes get all big, like it was like he played everything so cool that when he would do these reactions to a crucifix, it seemed so over the top that he was mocking him, but he never was mocking him. It was
so you don't like Chris Sarandon's crucifix reaction acting?
No, okay. That would be just for
clarity. Okay,
if we did a 3-3-1s, that would be my third.
Okay, got it.
So he flashes a crucifix at him, and Jerry, he tries to murder Charlie. He tries to push him out a window. I mean, he's choking him out. He's got him hanging over the window. Jerry just happened, or I'm going to do this the whole show. Jerry and Charlie switch their names. Charlie apparently had a pencil in his hand anyway. I don't remember him picking one up, but he stabs Jerry in the hand. Of course, it's like a little wooden stake.
Just goes right through his hand.
Right, stabs him in the hand, and that's enough. Like it gets Jerry to back off and leave. Because he's fought back against the vampire. Jerry though doesn't leave without retaliation as he like destroys Charlie's car, and then calls Charlie on the phone and basically threatens him again. Like, okay. You've made your bed. You're gonna have to die in it. And so it's on. Charlie knows about Jerry, and it's official. And Jerry he realizes that getting Charlie out of the picture is not maybe necessarily going to be as easy as he was expecting it to be.
But to Charlie, it's just a matter of time at this point.
Yeah. And so Charlie needs help. So he goes to the studio to find Peter Vincent, his hero, the horror host and star of many Hammer horror-esque vampire movies.
Yeah, so he's essentially talking about his own movies.
Yes, it's basically
as he's hosting. Yeah,
it would be like if Sven Gulli starred in the movies that he talks about. And so he goes and he just happens to catch Peter at a really bad time, as Peter's like he's just been fired. Peter he's an actor. He's an actor and a horror host. Yeah, he doesn't believe in all of this, all the fables of vampire. Like, he doesn't believe in monsters. He does it because it pays the bills, and he just got fired. Yeah. So he's very dismissive of Charlie. Yeah, I love the exchange where he's like, "Do you want an autograph?" And Charlie just goes, "No." And so, like, Peter's just very taken aback by like, "Why are you here?" "Well, I need your help. My neighbor's a vampire and I need you. You're a vampire hunter." And he just dismisses him like, "You're nuts." And so, Charlie he's still confiding in Marcy Darcy. She is, she's supportive. She loves her boyfriend. Yeah. And Jerry did it again. Charlie is, he's beside himself. He feels threatened. He feels like his days are numbered and he's got nowhere to turn. Yeah. So Amy then Marcy Darcy.
Thank you. The more important correction.
Yeah, I don't want to confuse people by introducing this Amy character.
No, her name's Marcy Darcy.
Marcy Darcy. So Marcy Darcy, she goes to visit Peter Vincent, and so she pays him. Like he's dismissive of her as well, because he's gonna go. He was moving somewhere to take a new job or something, and she's like, "I'll pay you." "How much?" So she just first number she throws out, he's like, "Okay, I'll do it." He's so desperate.
Well, I mean, he's desperate for money. He just got fired, and so the plan is they're gonna try to trick Charlie, right? Yeah.
We're gonna trick Charlie into proving that Jerry is not a vampire. by doing some of the things, we're going to have him drink holy water, but it's just tap water. So we have this event where there's a little dinner party kind of thing going on. And Mom's hosting, of course, and Jerry's invited over, and Charlie's brought Peter Vincent, and they're all sitting around the table. And I think are Ed and Marcy Darcy there? I don't remember.
I think they're next door at Jerry's, aren't they?
Oh yeah, it was at Jerry's. Jerry invites them over. That's right.
Yeah.
And so
it was Charlie, Peter, Amy, or Marcy Darcy, and Ed.
Yeah. And so they're all over at Jerry's. We're gonna just bury the hatchet, right? Let's start this over. And so we're gonna prove that Jerry's not a vampire. And so they start by giving him holy water, which was just tap water. It wasn't blessed by anyone. But if we tell him it's holy water, and so they try that, it doesn't work. And so they go through all your typical things, and it's not working.
Yeah.
Until Peter Vincent's looking at his little compact mirror at something, and he notices Jerry behind him is not casting a reflection.
Uh-oh.
And so now Peter is like, oh boy.
So he panics and basically runs out. Yeah.
Yeah, he panics. He drops the mirror, picks up the shards, runs out. Jerry's really not aware of what just happened, but Peter is now he's fleeing for his life. So Peter discovers that he really is a vampire. And Jerry realizes, because they find he's walking through the house and he steps on a shard of the glass. And that's when he realizes, I picked up now Peter knows.
That's why Peter was so quick to leave.
Right. And so, everybody's kind of frustrated. Peter took off. Charlie is still dead set on him being a vampire. Ed and Marcy are just very dismissive of it. They're walking home, which I thought they're walking Marcy Darcy home. Because it's again, Charlie lived right next door. He didn't have to travel far.
Yeah.
Ed wanders off. He's like, I'm going to go this way. You walk her home. I'm going home.
Through this dark, steamy alley.
Exactly. through the most 80s alley possible.
Yeah.
I'm sure, it's smoky or foggy in that one alley. I'm sure this is the same alley that Pee-wee walked behind to get to the psychic to tell him about the Alamo. Only it wasn't raining at the time.
Alamo.
So Ed's walking by himself, and Jerry's hunting him down.
Mm-hmm.
And
fun sequence. Fun.
It was,
sequence.
Fun, and it was creepy. It just kept popping up where around corners or whatever. And he finally gets Ed cornered, and he offers him eternal life. He offers him vampire, and he relates to him. Hey, I know what it's like to be an outsider. I know what it's like to be looked over and stepped upon, and all these things. He's really touching into Ed's personality, and all of the, just the differences that make him an outcast, and extends his hand and offers him, hey, I can turn you into a vampire, and you'll never have to worry about this stuff again.
Yeah,
and
he gets Ed to buy in.
He does, and Ed does. He buys in, and so. Kind of a cool scene. He turns Ed. We cut back to Charlie and Marcy Darcy. We hear Ed scream. Of course, he'd faked being bitten once already.
Yeah.
And so, Marcy's like, it's just Ed screwing around. Let's just ignore him. So they're walking back. Kind of a lot of action stuff going on here. Ed shows up at Peter Vincent's apartment.
Yep.
Knocking on the door. Let me in. He's chasing me down. Of course, he knows, I'm sure Jerry told him that he sent him on that mission. Yeah. Ed is aware that Peter believes. So, Peter lets Ed in, and Ed vamps out on him.
Yeah.
This is another kind of cool sequence. And so, he's attacked Peter Vincent. Peter just happens to get his hand on a crucifix, applies it to his forehead, burns this kind of altered cross into his forehead. Pretty cool effect, really.
Yeah, it looks like an X after, just with the angle he put it on there, yeah.
Yeah, he kind of branded his forehead. And so meanwhile, while that fight's going on at Peter's house, Jerry's chasing Charlie and Marcy Darcy through town. Another cool sequence where he just, you do it with depth and some blur, but you just have, a guy step out from around the corner that looks like Jerry. It's like they just can't escape him. So they end up like going through this back window of a nightclub, hence the Terminator reference.
Yep. They and Linda Hamilton run in there.
Right. So they're in the nightclub, Charlie and Marcy Darcy, and they sit down and think we're safe. We're safe among all these people.
Yeah, he can't attack us here.
Right. So Charlie has Marcy Darcy, you sit here, I'm going to go call the police. Jerry shows up, and they see that he's there, but they feel they're safe. Jerry shows up, and he completely hypnotizes Marcy Darcy, who
he does.
we did find out earlier when Jerry meets Marcy Darcy for the first time that she coincidentally looks exactly like his long-lost love. And so, he's now smitten with her, much like Dracula was smitten with Winona Ryder, that my one true love is now you. And so, I got to go with that. So Charlie's calling the police. Meanwhile, Marcy Darcy and Jerry are out grinding on the dance floor. I think they were doing the cha-cha slide.
I think they were.
That would be a fun scene to replace the music of that with like the Casper slide.
Two hops. Right foot, let's stomp. Cha-cha, real smooth.
It would be fun. That would be fun. And so Jerry hypnotizes Marcy Darcy, and he bites her. Like he takes her, he turns her there, bites her there. Charlie then chases him out of the nightclub. Apparently Billy Cole's been parked out front in the Jeep for a while, because they hop in and like he's taken Marcy, and it's Billy driving, and Jerry's there, and Evil Ed's in the back, howling out.
I'm gonna pause you for a second there, Oz. On the way out of the dance club, there's a fun little secret with the security guards.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so like a security guard kind of catches on as Charlie's trying to confront Jerry and get him to get Jerry to let go of Marcy Darcy.
Right.
And Jerry kind of semi-vamps out right there, like he pops his claws and his eyes go red, and he slashes like a security guard across the neck. Yeah. And then another bigger security guard comes and runs up, and Jerry just picks him up by the throat and tosses him across the dance floor.
It was really cool. Yeah. It wasn't quite like, it was, again, another Terminator-esque reference. It was, it was Schwarzenegger showing up with his machine gun. But yeah, he does. He vamped out. I forgot about that. And so we're at my notes here. All right, so
we're back at Jerry's.
Yeah. We're back at Jerry. Well, not quite back at Jerry's. Charlie now has lost everybody, so he goes back to Peter for help again. I need your help. Well, Peter now is not only he believes Jerry, but now he's gone face to face with a vampire, and so he initially refuses. Like he's already packing his bags. I'm out of here. And so, but he does realize, because he's got a heart, that you do need my help. Like. Yeah. So he reluctantly takes upon his vampire killer role.
Yes. He basically literally talks himself into it.
Yeah, he does. And so now we are back at Jerry's. And so the two of them confront Jerry. Jerry basically meets him on the stairs. And Peter Vincent's going all out with his like hammer horror vampire killer.
He's fallen into character.
He's pulled out a crucifix. And Jerry just laughs at him. And he's like, that only works if you have faith. And
you got to believe, and you don't.
And he could tell he doesn't, he's scared.
Yeah.
That's not going to work on me. And so Charlie, he pulls one out. And again, Jerry, like I mentioned earlier, overstates his frustration. And he retreats. Jerry retreats because Charlie's even got this smug look on his face, like, but I believe Jerry. And so this is where Billy shows up. And it's kind of another fun little scene.
Yeah.
Billy shows up and knocks Charlie over the banister. And Peter, wait, am I there yet? No, not yet. They come back to this. Charlie shows up, knocks Peter over the banister. And, oh my gosh.
I think Billy.
Charlie's already there.
Yeah.
Too many people whose names end in Y.
Yeah. Charlie, Billy.
Billy
Jerry,
shows up.
Marcy Darcy.
Billy, yeah. Mommy. Billy shows up, throws Charlie over the banister, and Peter freaks out and leaves. He flees to Charlie's house next door. When he gets to Charlie's house, this is where we get another cool fight scene between he and Ed.
Yes.
Ed comes around the corner as a wolf. So he's vamped out in wolf form. Like he's like ran up the ranks of vampirism very quickly.
Yeah, he did.
Like it was just earlier that night that he just got bit, and now he's suddenly, I know how to transform into a wolf.
Mastered animal transformation.
Right.
Yeah.
So he's an animorph now.
A manimal.
And so Ed attacks as a wolf, and Peter's holding a broken table leg. It ends up puncturing Ed, basically staking him.
Yeah.
And so, he kills Ed. He removes the stake from Ed's body. It almost like recharges Peter's faith. Mm-hmm. So now I'm going back over to Jerry's. I'm going to go battle that. I'm going to go rescue Charlie. Meanwhile, after getting knocked over the banister, Billy and Jerry, they throw Charlie in a locked-in room with Amy, who's been bitten but is not quite full-on vampire yet.
Yeah.
Like, if she can make it through the night and feed, then she's full out. So it was, we're going to throw you in here with Marcy Darcy. I called her Amy a minute ago. We're going to throw her in. I don't know. New character. So we lock Charlie in with Marcy Darcy, who's turning into a vampire. And Peter frees Charlie before she fully awakes and tells him, hey, I know a thing or two because I've seen a thing or two. Mm-hmm. And so he tells him, hey, if we can kill Jerry before the night's over, before dawn, then we can save Marcy Darcy. And so Charlie likes that idea, so let's go do that. So this is where they have the showdown with Billy.
Yeah.
This was cool. I did like the effects of this. So Billy shows up. They shoot Billy. He tumbles down the stairs. And then they're talking over their plan as Billy then sits up again behind him and comes back up the stairs. He's undead. He's an undead familiar, basically. So
he's more like zombie mummy than he is vampire.
Right. And so they hit him with a crucifix too, though. Because am I right? Is that what they got it with? Or they stake him? I don't remember.
Charlie drives a wood plank into his chest is what I have.
Okay, that's good. As again, like I told you pre-show, this is like 6 movies ago for me. So I lose track of my momentary kills.
And I think to keep the R rating, they changed. It wasn't red blood that poured out of Billy. It was like
it
was like green ooze that just.
It was like green ooze and sand. Like it was
just sand. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool. So they stake him, and he just basically melts. Like it was still very graphic, but again, not bloody. So it was really. It was no worse than Raiders of the Lost Ark, like opening the Covenant mummies' faces melting, so it's that kind of effect. So he's melting. You see bone. I love it. Like sand just starts pouring out of his shirt sleeves. And so Billy's gone. He's a goner now. Peter, so Peter basically lures. Because Jerry now he's overconfident. He doesn't think Peter believes in anything. So Peter lures Jerry in front of a window. It's just really cool stained glass.
Yeah.
Lures him in front of this window, using a crucifix. But now it works because he's regained faith and he's renewed faith in his abilities. He believes now. So now he's full. It's like in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Like he's now leveled up.
Yeah, you have leveled up.
Exactly. So that's how I feel. I feel this is almost like at this point, it's almost like a live action Castlevania of sorts. And so Charlie, Peter's refound his faith, and they've got Jerry cornered now. Like Jerry he's locked in. The sun's starting to rise.
Yep, dawn's coming.
And here we get the qualification for the month. Jerry transforms into a bat, and then just attacks Peter and Charlie. before he flees
in this big this big rat bat form.
Yeah, oh, it's huge. Yeah. It's very practical. There's some puppet on but attacks, and then he flees, flies down to the basement to secure himself in the coffin. But fight's not over. Charlie and Peter pursue him.
We got to finish him off.
Yeah, Peter breaks open the coffin that Jerry's in. He's just about to stake him through the heart. Charlie and Marcy Darcy are kind of battling. Really cool effects on Marcy Darcy. Like, she's fully vamped out now.
That huge jaw and mouth.
Yeah, it reminded me, what's that WWE wrestler that used to wear a mask that kind of looked like that? Like, he wasn't old. Like, he's still a fairly current guy. Oh, it doesn't matter. I don't watch recent wrestling, but I remember seeing it. Doesn't matter. But he just, it doesn't matter. I
think it was Greg. I think it was Greg the Hammer Valentine.
I think it was. It was Marty Jannetty.
It's a big boss man.
Right. Iron Mike Sharp showing up. I'm gonna get as many Iron Mike Sharp references.
That's another one. We'll keep rolling with the Iron Mike Sharp train.
And so Charlie's fighting off Marcy Darcy, and Peter's just about to stake him. Charlie kind of calls for him. And now it's just a series of, they're trapped, they're fighting Jerry, but it's now dawn. Charlie breaks a window, which lets a lot of light in. And we basically get an ending of this movie very similar to the ending of last week's.
Yep.
From Dusk Till Dawn, of let's just get as many opportunities to bring sunlight into the basement as possible. There are an immense amount of basement windows in this house.
Yeah, yes, there are. How deep underground is this basement?
It's not very deep, and on top of that,
more of a crawl space than a basement.
Right. And apparently the foundation is set on windowsills.
Yes.
There's no brick foundation.
No.
It is,
it's a
once you get a, it's
load-bearing windows.
Exactly. Load-bearing windows. And so it destroys him. Like, there's enough sunlight in now that Jerry gets destroyed. Fast forward a few minutes later, we've saved Marcy Darcy. Charlie and Marcy Darcy are back in his room. It's basically restarting the movie. Yeah. They're back in his room. Now, like, they're full on, hey, we're Major League Baseball players now. They're about to go Aaron Judge on the moment. And Peter's back on Fright Night. I don't know how he got rehired in a few days, but he's been rehired.
Yep.
like there really was no public notification of an actual vampire in town. They handled it all under the radar.
Yeah.
But somehow, a few nights later, the television studio realized we gave up our
we didn't have anything else to fill the slot.
Yeah.
We can't afford Mama's Family syndication anymore. So
right. Like, I don't know what we're gonna do. And so he's back, but he's switched. I like this too. This was kind of a fun little thing that, like, Peter Vincent has switched. He's no longer going to do vampire movies. He's going to switch over to alien movies.
Yeah.
And, creatures from outer space. So they're about to, Charlie and Marcy Darcy, they're about to hook up or whatever. Charlie gets up to turn off the TV, and he sees some red eyes in the house next door, Jerry's house. But he just dismisses it because, again, he's not passing up another opportunity to pull an Otis Nixon. And so, but now we kind of end with some laughter. Well, we actually end with Evil Ed, telling Brewster how cool he is, which we know Ed's dead. So I really don't know what that's thrown in there for, but we do have a new neighbor that has just moved in. Fade to black. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is 1985's Fright Night.
There it is, folks. At this point in the show, Oz and I each give our own unique rating to the film we've been talking about. Oz, how would you rate Fright Night?
I'd give this 7.5 vampire familiars.
7.5. The top half or the bottom half?
Just like the right half.
The right half. Okay, got it.
Yeah. These are hot. I'm gonna cut them hot dog, not hamburger style.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So I want 7 Billy Coles and 1 Guillermo. That's what I want.
Love it.
How about you?
I'm gonna go with 89 Humperdinks. The other big Chris Sarandon role.
Yeah. Yeah. 89. That's not divisible by 6, by the way.
No, it's not. 89 Prince Humperdinck's.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Not to be confused with Count Rugen's.
No, not Count Rugen. You have 6 fingers on your right hand.
I do love Humperdinck.
Yeah. Next up, folks, we had Outside Insight, where Oz and I each take some unprofessional review we found by scouring the interwebs, and we present that said review to you, the viewer/listener, and make fun of it. Oz, What is your Outside Insight?
Mine is a 1/2-star review that I found on Letterboxd from Bobby Bubblebath.
Bobby Bubblebath.
Bobby Bubblebath.
I think he was actually Greg the Hammer Valentine's tag team partner.
He was. Not to be confused with Brutus the Barber Beefcake.
Yes, another triple B. Bobby Bubblebath.
That would have been a really sweet wrestler.
I think that was his proto name before he became Brutus the Barber Beefcake.
Yeah, I was thinking it was his name before he became Typhoon. When Tugboat. It was Bobby Bubblebath.
Tugboat Thomas.
Tugboat Thomas.
Tugboat Thomas.
So, a 1/2-star review by Bubby Bubblebath. Say that 5 times real fast.
Him too.
Bobby Bubblebath. I wish there was a way to send an alert to everyone on Letterboxd, warning them not to watch a movie because it sucks butt. Kind of like an Amber Alert, but instead of informing you of a kidnapped kids nearby, it just lets you know that movies are going to kidnap your time.
Kidnap your time.
Right.
This movie walked into my house, took me, threw me in the back of a windowless van.
I laugh because I don't think Bobby Bubblebath understands how Amber Alerts work.
No.
It's not a warning. It's that it already happened.
Yes.
You can't throw out an Amber Alert. This isn't like Minority Report where it's like, the pre-crime unit.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's already been stolen and kidnapped. You don't get to throw an Amber Alert saying, warning, kidnapper in the area.
No, it's you're responding to something.
Exactly. So his is like, Amber Alert, guys, this movie's going to steal your time. Well, guess what? You can't avoid it because otherwise there's no need for the Amber Alert. So thank you, Bobby Bubblebath. By the way, his like emoticon logo on Letterboxd was a scrubbing bubble.
Of course it was.
So, no, yeah, it was. I don't know. It was either that or maybe it was like no, it wasn't a scrubbing bubble. It was one of the like pink bubbles with the blue smiley face that was on like the Johnson's bubble bath bottle.
Got it. Okay. Like
that's
the
what it was.
The no tears formula.
Yeah, like Mr. Bubble or something like that.
Okay.
So, all right, what's your outside insight?
Mine comes from the Internet Movie Database. Mine is a 10 out of 10 review.
Ooh, I love it.
I know we went opposites this time. Usually
we did.
Usually we both do good reviews or negative reviews.
Exactly.
Mine's a 10 out of 10. This is from Randy Chenault 22, and this was actually posted just a few months ago, July 2022, as the time of this recording.
Mine was January 2022.
Nice. For a movie that's almost 40 years old now. Wow.
Yeah, people are just discovering it.
So, most horror movies do not have a story. Might as well just watch clips from the slasher parts if that's what you like. This movie is very well done. The remake sucked, by the way. Watch this movie if you have never seen it before.
Yeah, he doesn't want to reveal too much though.
No. I feel like this person is taking like an English learner class, and this is how they're practicing.
Yeah, I think a bot wrote this review.
Yeah.
Watch this movie if you've not seen it before.
This movie is very well done. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I don't think they didn't have to check the box and pick the palm trees before they entered this review.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So that's our outside insights. And finally, folks, it's the moment in the show you've been waiting for. A segment, the 3-2-1, where Oz and I each share 3 goods, 2 bads, and 1 about the movie we've been talking about. Oz, what are your 3 goods for 1985's Fright Night?
My first good, I thought this was a great blending of 80s horror and Hammer horror coming together. Hammer horror is very much an acquired taste. It's not bad. Like, I enjoy it, but you really have to be in the right frame of mind to watch a Hammer horror film. Because if you think, I want to watch a horror film, you probably don't mean Hammer horror.
Yeah.
Because it's very atmospheric, it's very gothic, and that's really where Peter Vincent comes in. But even still, like, there was just blending of, like, you've got 80s, the obviously full-blown 80s horror going on, but, like, you would still throw in like pipe organ music underneath, like even just the blending of the music with some of the scenes. It was just, I really liked it. So I really liked that blending of 80s horror and Hammer horror conjoining. By far, one of the coolest movie posters of all time. I love the movie I always loved the movie poster.
This movie. Yeah, it's one of those ones that would stick out to you as you're walking through the local video store.
Absolutely. And so it caught my eye every time. It really nails the atmosphere of the movie too. Of, you got a vampire like in the clouds hanging over a house. It's just a really, really effective movie poster. So that's my second good. And my third, great directorial debut for Tom Holland.
Yeah.
Really, like, you see a lot of actors in their director, or not actors, I'm sorry. You see a lot of directors, and their first movie is typically lacking, only because they've never done it before. But this one, like, there's just a lot of attention to detail that really made it effective. Like, even early on where, the very first scene where Charlie's looking out the window as the neighbors are carrying in a coffin, and that just happens to be what's on TV at the same time. So, like, just that foresight into, like, building the scenes with multiple layers. That's obviously never directed a movie before, but that's pretty advanced stuff.
Yeah.
Than just telling just a very singular thread plot line all the way through. So there was good layers to this. And so a very smart and very well done directorial debut by Tom Holland. So those are my three. How about you?
Sure. My three, I'm going to go with the Ed Wolf death sequence for the first one. So you'd mentioned before that, Ed had transformed himself into a wolf and was charging at Peter Vincent. And Peter has, like a table leg or something like that. And he basically, Ed kind of leaps onto it and he tumbles in his weight.
Yeah.
Drives it through. So it wasn't so much what Peter did. It was just kind of Ed's mistake. But after he gets staked, there's this very slow, methodical, like, de-transformation scene in which Ed is a wolf and he slowly transforms back into a person. And so it's almost like the opposite of, like, an American Werewolf in London.
Right.
Where you see the slow transformation from human to wolf, but this time you see it the other way around. And eventually he ends up just back as Ed.
Yeah.
So great practical effects in the editing there, and Peter's kind of mourning him, and it's just
and that added a lot of touch to that scene too. Is just, you're right. I love how you said he's mourning him. Like, he doesn't want to kill anybody, but he realizes that this is what we've had to deal with. Yeah, so there was a lot of, like, sorrow in his look as he's watching him de-transform.
So I thought that was an amazing little sequence there. My second would be just sort of like the tension in the club sequence. As Charlie's on the phone trying to get a hold of the cops, trying to get a hold of Peter. There's this sequence building, out on the dance floor there, and it's a little cringy with the age difference between the two. So I acknowledge that. However, just the sequence overall, I thought just added had the right degree of tension to it, and she knows what's going on. Like, she knows in her head, but, like, you feel like there's, like, a compulsion she has to act along with it. Like she looks in the mirror and she sees there's no reflection there, so she knows exactly in her head what's going on, but she can't stop herself.
Well, she's hypnotized.
Yeah.
And as a person that I think you've seen me hypnotized. I've been hypnotized a couple of times, and I completely understand the thought process she's in. Both times I was hypnotized on stage, for whatever show, I knew in my head what I was doing was ridiculous, but I could not stop myself from doing it. And so it's a very eerie feeling, especially in her sense. In mine, it was all comedic because that's what it was there for. I never felt in danger, but yeah, for her, you're right. She was very aware, but there's nothing she could do. She was in this trance.
Mm-hmm. And my last one will go with Evil Ed's voice and shrieks, or the actor Stephen Jeffries' shrieks, whatever. Again, as we've narrowed his age down from the character from somewhere in the early teens to mid 30s.
Yeah.
Just a really fun horror voice and horror screams and whatnot. So, those are my three goods. What are your two bads?
I'm gonna I'm gonna go the same route, but in a little different direction. My first bad is Stephen Jeffries.
Yep.
Everything I've seen him in, and admittedly it's not a lot, but I get the feeling that if you ran into Stephen Jeffries on the street, he's gonna act the exact same way.
Yeah.
There's a sequel to this movie, Fright Night 2. This movie did very well, and they offered it basically to bring everybody back. Tom Holland and Chris Sarandon could not do it, as they had moved on to do Child's Play together. And Stephen Jeffries turned it down because he was offered the main role in a Robert Englund directed movie called 976 Evil. And you may as well have called that movie 976 Evil Ed, because it's the exact same performance.
Yeah.
And so, it's just like I mentioned earlier, everything's kind of cranked up to 11. But it's the same, it's the same performance, this other movie. So everything I've seen him in, he's acting the exact same way.
Sure.
He did have a career, because he was in other very, very like straight to TV or whatever. But I know he also had a flourishing adult career. He did some other types of videos.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so he's, I think, probably more well known in that era and that the back room of the video store than the horror section of the video store.
Perhaps heard him shrieking there as well.
Probably. So that's my first bad. My second bad, and this was I had to really search for this one. So Marcy Darcy's hair is short and brown, and then she gets bitten, and now it's long and red.
Yeah.
And then after Jerry dies, it's back to being short and brown again. And really, this whole movie takes place over the span of like 3 or 4 days at most. And so that was it. It's like, why was her vampiric hair like frizzy and red? And it's like, it wasn't like, I don't know. It just, especially once you got the vampire makeup going, it was really hard to identify her as the same actress. Yeah. Because of all the facial makeup and the different hairstyle, like it was completely different. So that's my second bad, is just the the dance club to vamped out to Charlie's bedroom were all like 24 hours. And then, but she went from like, she changed hairstyles in between. So that was my second bad. How about you?
My bads, I'm gonna start with naive authority figures.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
it's the 80s.
Yeah, it's the 80s. You get your naive authority figures. Again, not that Charlie had much of a credibility to go with there, but like the mom, the police, even Peter, like they just dismissed him completely. They didn't give him or his story any kind of benefit of the doubt. Right. Despite his pleas and despite how earnestly he felt about it. So naive 80s authorities. Sorry.
Well, I mean, yeah, you look at it too. I mean, and you're really onto something. Like, they did the same thing in Gremlins. Mm-hmm. They did the same thing in Goonies. They did the same thing in Nightmare on Elm Street. Like, anytime you try to get the police involved, the police just like, you're a crazy kid. You're just a kid. What do you know? But again, that also then leads to the adventure of the kid fighting the bad. So, but yeah, we've come a long way, because now I don't feel like movies today, like the police are as dismissive. It's just like the evil is so powerful that the police really can't stop it either. But yeah, so absolutely dismissive authority figures.
My other bad is just going to be, and this is also kind of an 80s trope, like the in some ways the incapable female lead. Like, Marcy Darcy doesn't have a lot of agency. Like, she tried coming up with, like, she had the little plan to try to trick Charlie into believing that Jerry's not really a vampire, but then, she's easily hypnotized and taken in and turned into the bad guy's slave and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
yeah, Marcy Darcy could have been treated a little bit better here.
Yeah. And even you could make I could see one making the argument of like, yeah, but the 80s was full of final girls. Yeah, but a lot of those final girls just kind of luck their way into being the final girl.
Yeah.
With the exception of like Nancy Thompson in Nightmare on Elm Street, where she actually was the driving force and created a plan. But like every final girl in a Friday the 13th movie is just there because she just made it. Like,
yeah.
It wasn't. I didn't happen to be in front of the machete that time. Is really why they're still alive, and that's it. Nobody really has a plan to defeat the evil. But yeah, I'm with you on that. Marcy Darcy was just she was there.
Mm-hmm. All right, Oz, what's your one?
Why do the long lost loves of vampires always seem to look like the lead's romantic partner? This is what our third vampire movie we've covered, and two of them have had like whoever the lead actor is, his romantic partner is who Dracula loved eons ago.
Yeah,
and no difference here. It's like we uncover the painting and it's like, that looks just like Amy. Well, of course it does. It's because it's a painting of Marcy Darcy.
Yeah.
And so that's my Huz. It's like I get it. Like even the Dracula novel, I get it, but it's like, come on, we could do something else. Like,
yeah.
It's like I haven't seen the Twilight movies, but I'm sure if there was like a prequel, we would see like Edward having a portrait of Kristen Stewart like way back, and it's like it just doesn't make sense. So
yeah,
especially when I guess we'll go another beat here. Especially when you make a vampire movie that feels like it's based in the 80s. So like Marcy Darcy looks like an 80s female.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why does she still look like an 80s female in your portrait?
Maybe it was the 1680s.
The 1380s. Yeah. That's true. Didn't think of that. So what's your huh?
My huh is, why didn't Jerry just kill Charlie and Judy at the beginning of the movie? Like, I
don't know.
Like he was able to get himself invited in. He could have taken out both of them and just just been done. Just been done with it. But no, he decided to toy around with them and he ended up getting himself killed. Just be a lethal predator, Jerry. That's what you are.
I like the little scene. I didn't mention it in the plot where Charlie's like army crawling across like under the bushes to like spy on him next door, and Jerry's eating that apple.
Yeah,
and like in one bite takes out like 90% of the apple.
Yeah,
and then tosses it over towards the bushes so that he could walk over there to get it. Mm-hmm. And then that's when Charlie's mom comes hollering for him on the front porch because he's a teenage boy and his mom still calls him in after dark.
Yeah.
But that scene where he bites into that apple and it's like, man, he ate like all of that apple in one bite.
That was a big bite.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, unhinged the jaw there and took that out.
Unless it was like the Clementine version of an apple, and it was like
Clementine. Well, he bit right through the core too.
I know. So he's probably gonna have a bellyache. There's arsenic in apple seeds.
Yeah, his tummy not gonna feel too good after that one.
He's gonna grow an apple tree down there.
That's what the folklore tells me.
It's vampire lore.
Yeah. So that, folks, is 85's Fright Night. Week 2 of Man-Bat Month.
I know, Man-Bat Month. Uh-huh. Next week's your week.
It is my week.
What kind of like ramped up horrific movie are we going to watch next week?
Yeah.
Something that really brings the scares. I want gore. I want gore. I want screams. I want terror. I want to be on the edge of my seat.
Oh, what my friend. We are going to check. We're checking all those boxes for you.
Oh, good.
Yes. We're getting them all with Dracula Dead and Loving It.
Oh my gosh, not that one.
Yes, that one. 1995's Mel Brooks directed Dracula Dead and Loving It. Hey, it meets our criteria for the month. It has a vampire and it has a bat. So
it does.
It has,
And
the bat version of the vampire.
And it has Leslie Nielsen.
So,
horror icon Leslie Nielsen.
Yes, horror icon.
You've seen him in Prom Night. And I guess Forbidden Planet, but really that's it. Just those two.
So
horror icon.
Next week, Dracula Dead and Loving It. We will have some fun with that movie. And Oz, I have never seen Dracula Dead and Loving It.
I haven't either.
So
I have a feeling we're gonna hate it though.
Yeah, I got a feeling it's gonna be one of those movies where it'll have some moments because it's a Mel Brooks movie. It can't not have some moments.
No, exactly.
But overall, it'll be
Yeah. I'm in all fairness though, I was just saying it's late stage Mel Brooks, but I did enjoy Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Yeah, as did I.
So it may not be completely terrible, but
no. We'll have some laughs. We'll have some laughs. We'll have some fun. Maybe Otis Nixon will be here with us.
He may. Iron Mike Sharp will probably make an appearance.
Bobby Bubble Bath or whatever.
Bobby Bubble Bath.
He'll be here.
All right. Well, that wraps up another week of Let's Talk About Flicks. Next week, like you said, we'll be back with the scariest movie of the month, Dracula Dead and Loving It. You can find us on social media. Social media. Right. You can find us on the internets. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Of course, if you're watching us on YouTube, you can listen to our podcast. If you're listening to our podcast, you can watch us on YouTube. But yeah, we will be back next week for episode 51.
We're rounding the corner. We're that much closer to 100.
We're almost at a year. We're almost ready to start season 2.
Season 2. Let's talk about flicks. Bigger budget. More actors, more plot lines.
Right. We're going to cover multiple movies a week. With multicam. I don't know.
We'll see Oz's evil twin make an appearance.
Right.
In season 2.
Yeah, that and more in season 2.
Not much more.
No.
Maybe I'll blur my background for season 2.
Maybe I'll clarify mine. I don't know. But either way, guys, we will be back next week with episode 51, Dracula Dead and Loving It. Again, you can find us on the internet at all your favorite social media outlets. If you do want to chip in and support the show, you can hit us up on Patreon down below. We appreciate it if you do. Drop us a comment if there's any movie you'd like to see us cover. We do have a couple in the pipeline that I need to get on the list so we can start working around them. Other than that, though, thanks again for joining us. Hope you had a good time, and we will see you next week.